Hi, and welcome to British Science Week. So let's work out how to create an infographic full of scientific facts using Adobe Express. So for my project, I'm going to do something on water facts. I've come up with 4 really interesting facts which I've researched, and I want to put it into a striking infographic which will grab the reader or the viewer. So I'm going to go to Adobe Express, and for this one, I'm going to create it from scratch rather than a template. I'm going to press the plus. I'm going to go to custom size graphic. Now, it doesn't really matter on the size of this, but I'll just start off with a kind of a size that we're familiar to, which is A4, because you might want to print this out. So I've got that selected, click next. So now we've got a completely blank screen in front of us. So I'm going to put my title in, water facts, and then I'm just going to start off with a really interesting or striking photo which I can put in there, and I'll use something like icebergs because they are obviously water, frozen water, and they'll give us a really striking image, and there's all sorts of things here which we could use. When you've found the one that you like, just give it a click and it'll pop straight onto your canvas. So I want this to be the background to the whole infographic, so I'm going to select it, and then you can see here over on the right hand side it says add to background, and I'm just going to switch that on. Okay, now that that's rendered, I can play around with it and see if I want to put it in a certain position. I think that one looks quite good. And if you want to, you can zoom in and out on it if you really want, but I'm happy with that so far. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my text title in. So I'm just going to add it by clicking add your text, type it in here. Now I want this to sit all on one line across the top. So I'm just going to drag that box out, and I'm also going to center it. And you can see that with the pink dotted line. Now, in terms of my font, there are all sorts of things that I can look through here, and you can see them on the right-hand side here. So I'll change the color on that and then look for some font recommendations. So I'm going to press Explore More here, and I can show as many as I like until I find the one that I like. And I think this one's pretty cool, actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select it. Now, what the problem with this is you can't really see it very well. So I'm going to do a couple of things. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the font color to pure white over there. Now, because it's quite thin, you don't really see it on this image. So I'll also do another thing, which would be to select it again, and then I can put an outline on it. And the outline I'm going to give it is actually the same white again. That's going to make it a little bit chunkier and easier to read. But one of the things I'm going to do to make that text even more readable, and we're going to be putting more text in, so we need to make it as readable as possible, is to select this background image and go to filters. I'm going to click the little drop down there, and I've got all sorts of things I can do with it. The duotone is pretty cool. But actually, I want to make it slightly darker so that my text can pop out. So you can cycle through these different effects, and I think maybe the darker one will do me. Okay. So now that I've got that, I'm going to turn my attention to my facts. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is grab my first fact, the kind of headline of my first fact. And again, I'm going to select text and add it in here. Now I'm going to paste in my text, and it's using the same font as I used for the title. And I don't really want that. But let me stretch it all out onto one line to start off with. Okay, I'm going to make sure it's left aligned. Just to make it easier for me when I'm aligning things. There you see the alignment tool comes up saying it's aligned with the title, so I'm happy with that, but I'm not very happy with the fonts. Now, one that I like to use is Economica. So I'm going to stretch it out a bit, make it a bit bigger because I want it to be easily readable. So next up is to get my text. Now, this is the kind of the bulk of what I'm trying to explain about all Earth's water is in the oceans. Now, if I just add it in here, it will give me the same font. Now, obviously, that's way too big. Now, ideally, I want to get this onto about 3 lines. Make it slightly smaller, and then I'm going to put it into position. And there you go. I've got my headline fact, and then I've got the text with more detail. Now, what I want to do is make these the detailed section. I want to make them stand out a bit. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm actually going to put a shape on it. Now, if I turn that toggle on, it will give me a kind of default color. It's giving me a default yellow. Now, I don't particularly want that. I might go for this kind of greeny color. Now, I like that because it's kind of, there's a bit of green in the background image itself. And now things that I can do with that is start playing with the opacity of that shape. So if I open up the shape menu, I can kind of bring that down ever so slightly and also make sure the opacity of the text itself is much bigger. And I can also change the size of that shape. And if I move it up, 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 and what that will do is it'll make a sort of a solid block behind this text. And I like that, gives it a bit more shape. So if I click on it, and then you can also, fill the screen so you can start checking your work. I really like how that stands out. And I also really like the fact that it separates it out from the title as well. Now that I've got that, I'm going to click on my little zoom menu here and click fit. And what I can do here, and this is a really convenient way to do this particular style of infographic, is to click with my mouse, drag over those two pieces of text there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press duplicate. And I'll get a carbon copy of what we had before. And I can just place that. And then I've got a perfect carbon copy, same size, same shape, all that kind of thing. And then all you have to do is grab your title, and then click on the title of the second section here, and then just replace that text. Now that you've finished your infographic, you can press fill here to just check that everything's in the sort of position that you want it to. And then when you're happy with it, I'm going to start doing a couple of fun things. So here, in terms of photos, I'm going to search for something like polar bear, see what we get. This one looks pretty cool. I like that. Now, it doesn't look good like that because it's still got the background of that image in there. So let me select it and remove the background. It does all sorts of crazy things and then pops out with this perfectly cut out image of the polar bear. Now, I like the color that polar bear is. It's slightly different and it kind of makes it stand out in this particular piece. Now I'm going to put it on my waterfacts. I'm going to align it to the right. I'm going to make the polar bear look like he's looking at the title, which I quite like. And then I might just put another one in there. Why not? Just for fun, just to make sure that the polar bear is not on his or her own. And this time, again, it's done a perfect background. And I'll make this one a lot smaller, like it's in the distance there. And maybe I will just put a filter on that to make it sort of match what we're looking for in the background. So that one was a multiply and this one's a multiply too. When you're happy with your infographic, you can download it as a PNG, JPEG or PDF. PDF might be good if you want to print it. So I'll download mine as a PDF. And there it is. It's saved to the bottom of my screen there. And then last but not least, you can press share, publish, share it via Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, or click link. And within seconds, it will create a link which you can share with teachers, students, whoever you like. And there you go. That's how you create a striking infographic full of scientific facts for British Science Week using Adobe Express. I'm looking forward to seeing yours.